I'd like to recite to you a book called the Jodo Shinshu book. This particular second printing was put out in 1975, which was shortly before my own conversion experience, which led to my faith in the primal vow of Amida Buddha. The book was published by Nembutsu Press and is not copyrighted and can be, according to the publisher, reproduced without permission. The thing I would encourage you to focus on as I recite this book are the two aspects that I consider to be fundamental to Shinjin, or faith. One is a recognition of our own limitations and, to put it bluntly, karmic evil. What this means is that the defilements that block our view of wisdom or prajna are so great that it's virtually impossible for us to overcome them in this life. And you can think of this in either an abstract way in terms of concepts like anger, greed, and ignorance, or you can break it down into a nitty-gritty form and decide what aspects of your own life reflect a deviation from perfect character or perfect bodhisattvahood, if you will. And as you study and read the Mahayana Sutras, you become more and more aware of the extent to which, at least speaking for myself, the extent to which I am not able to act consistently in a way that reflects those ideals, that altruistic perspective. So one aspect of faith, or Shinjin, true and trusting, as it would be framed within Jodo Shinshu or true Pure Land Buddhism, is that again, I have these personal limitations. And the other awareness is, at the same time, the tremendous virtue and magnificent ideal character that the Buddha has. And I think of this primarily in terms of Amida Buddha, who epitomizes or embodies the ultimate of the Buddhist ideals. And of course, if you want to think of there being an Amida Buddha, that I've said before in other videos that all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are emanations from Amida. So, he is the ultimate realization of what can be, again, in an abstract form, characterized as wisdom and compassion. Those characteristics that, as a human being, as a Homo sapiens, I can understand that those exist. I can appreciate that there are such ideals. But again, the more I study and reflect on the sutras and on myself, I realize the great gap, the great gulf there is between who I am and who spiritual entities like Amida or Avalokitesvara or Samantabhadra or Manjushri, these wonderful Bodhisattva Mahasattvas that are described within the Mahayana Sutras. So keep that in mind, simply as a benchmark for what is communicated in this little Jodo Shinshu book in terms of how one might be drawn, if one has an interest in a spiritual path, how one might be drawn toward a true Pure Land or Shin Buddhist perspective. So the first section of this book is called The Proper Attitude. Listen to the teaching. A cow lives on a plain. It eats grass and drinks from a stream flowing nearby. The water that the cow drinks turns into nourishing milk and supports both her calf and the people who drink it. In the same stream where it flows by a thicket lives a poisonous asp. It eats bird eggs and frogs, and when thirsty, also drinks the stream water. But in the case of the asp, the water is turned into deadly poison and used to kill. Although the water is the same, in one case it is the source of life, in the other of death. We also drink water, not just liquid water, but also the water of knowledge and skill in performing various activities. The knowledge and techniques we acquire or, quote, drink can be turned into milk to benefit or turned into poison to harm. How we use what we acquire depends on the attitude of our heart. Let us listen to the teaching that allows us to turn the water of knowledge to good uses rather than bad. The ideal. Some people are concerned solely about what those in their immediate circle think, and seek only to avoid being caught in an illegal act. Such people are inferior. Some people are concerned with living what might be called a moral life, just so others will not point an accusing finger at them. Such people are average. And then there are those who, always conscious of eternity and striving to live within the sight of the Buddha, are prudent in their speech and behavior. What they think or how they act is the same whether they are alone or in a crowd. Such people are superior. Let us try to be like them. Destroying superstitious beliefs. Superstitious beliefs develop in times of crises when we grasp at straws for a solution. When a satisfactory result occurs, together with a non-related action, we tend to believe the action was the cause of the satisfactory result. Many athletes develop superstitious attitudes for just this reason. The baseball player who hits a home run after rubbing a certain part of his uniform before stepping up to the plate will tend to keep rubbing that part of his uniform until the next home run, which reinforces his feeling that rubbing his uniform is the cause of his superior batting. The next step from this form of superstition is a belief that a particular form of worship or, quote, faith in something will bring you material reward. Here, we must positively assert that all such beliefs are pure superstition and cannot be the guiding principle for your life. When we are of sound mind and body, we can easily make proper judgments. But when we are confronted with a crisis, we often revert to childlike attitudes, which bring about and strengthen superstitious attitudes. We must be on guard against this at all times. Section 2. What can we learn from the computer? Our age is one in which we use machinery to do what was formerly done by our hands. Because of this, life today is far more convenient than even 25 years ago. From things like cooking and washing to getting around and communicating with others, life has become far more comfortable. When our technological age began, everyone looked into the future with rose-colored glasses. We all speculated on what we would do with our surplus time when it became possible to buy a gadget which would cook our meals with the flip of a switch. When mankind is released from physical toil and household drudgery, we said, we will be truly free and live as men were meant to. However, contrary to our expectations, such a rose-colored age did not come into being. We seem to live in an age which is busier and more rude than ever. What happened? We developed technology to live more comfortable lives, and yet, because of technology, our suffering has increased many times. The automobile, which was created to make transportation easier, spurts out deadly fumes which make it dangerous for us to breathe. In all spheres, our age is the richest in the history of the world. We are engulfed in a flood of technology and leisure. Yet we are setting new records in the amount of crime, traffic accidents, and the number of patients seeking psychiatric help. If our present age is one in which we use machinery to take the place of our hands, the coming age is one in which we will use machinery to take the place of our minds or the logical processes. It has been characterized as the age of the information explosion. Our daily newspaper has increased the number of its pages to where we cannot keep up with it. The average number of pages in the Los Angeles Times every day is over 100. The Sunday edition is about 500 pages. We have our weekly magazines, technical journals, and bulletins from organizations to which we belong. If we add to this, trying to help our children with their homework, keeping up with all the information constantly confronting us becomes an almost impossible task. But there are still the radio and television broadcasts, with their entertainment and news, and particularly their flood of commercials to overwhelm us. A device has been invented to help us manage the immense amount of information constantly inundating us. As you all know, this device is the computer. Even small companies now make use of this device to help manage the details of their business. The Japanese National Education Television Network has a program titled, quote, Diagnosing Japan, which makes use of a computer in analyzing various aspects of Japanese life. On one program, the computer was fed various data about modern Japanese society and then asked the question, will anxiety decrease in our society? The answer was quite contrary to what was expected. Without doubt, it will increase, the computer answered. A scientist once programmed a computer to answer the following question, quote, in an uneasy age where we are constantly flooded with information and dependent on mechanical devices to survive, what is the best way to live? The computer's answer was short and to the point, quote, select only those things that are truly important. Isn't this a most suitable answer? Whether it is a television program, a book, a job, the form of entertainment, regardless of what it is, select only the best or most important. When we stop to consider it, we always seem to be pushing off to one side the most important question of our life that must be answered. We evade this most important question by raising the status of questions and problems of lesser importance and allowing them to occupy all our thoughts. When we are young, it is getting a date, our schooling, or whether we can make the team. When we grow a little older, it is the job we hold, or getting married to the right person. And then it becomes worrying about our children. And when we get older still, it is worry about our health or our retirement. There is no time when we are not worrying about something. But isn't there something that must be solved or decided before anything else? Suppose there are 5 problems in a math test which must be solved in an hour. What sequence would you follow in taking the test? Quote, start with the easiest problem. Once you have solved that, and you know you will get some kind of grade, you will be able to concentrate on the next most difficult problem more easily. Leave the most difficult problem until the very last, and if there is time remaining, try tackling it and getting 100%. Close quote. This probably is the way you were taught to take a test in school. However, the test you receive in the classroom of life must be solved in exactly the opposite order. If you leave the most difficult question until the very last, there is no assurance that you will have time to solve it. This is how life is. No one can foretell when the bell ending the examination of life will ring. Do not delay in solving the greatest problem. Long before computers were even thought of, the admonition presented above was repeated over and over in Buddha Dharma. What is the greatest problem? What is the reason this person known as, quote, I was born? Upon what should I base my life? What happens when my physical body disappears. There are some who quickly answer the first question by saying, "My purpose in life is to work." Are they any different from ants who conscientiously perform their daily work for the benefit of the hive? There are others who say they work only to raise their children properly, but it is wrong to live your life through your children. They have their own life to lead. The first thing you must do is to be able to answer the 3 questions given above. When you can, you will have laid the foundation for a life which will continuously unfold and grow into something beautiful. So I'm going to continue reading in this book in the next video when the authors start talking about faith. And as you'll see already, that there are some specific aspects of the content of this book that may be anachronistic or out of date relative to, us living in 2016 as compared to 1975 or even earlier, whenever this book was originally written. But hopefully it'll be of some interest, and I'll go ahead and dictate the rest of it, maybe without my mug in front of the camera, and provide you with some nice pictures to take a look at while you listen. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha.